Hey, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Luke, uh, aka K.R. Stellar of Interstellar Command Guild. That's PvE US. So if you catch me online there, feel free to ask me any questions. I'll be glad to answer them for you. Uh, but in this video, I'm continuing our part series where we're going to talk about amps in this video alone. Um, and You'll notice if you watch my previous videos that I covered a lot of different builds. A dungeon build, I believe, and 4 healing builds, including in those 4 healing builds a hybrid setup if you wanted to bring the damage. So if you haven't watched those, go ahead and watch them. I'd encourage you to watch them now. As Or if you're here just for the amps, cool, because that's what we're going to be talking about. Um, a little disclaimer: the amps that we have, or I have set up right now, um, are likely I'm probably going to change, but for all those builds that I mentioned before, you can keep the same amp setup. So, anywho, let's dive right in. I'm going to start talking about the support tree, and do my best not to run on too many tangents. But hope you enjoy this. Alright, so as you can see here, I took all of the support amps in Tier 1. That covers support power increase, focus recovery, and reduce focus cost of your spells. Um, yeah, it's pretty much no-brainer that you want to take these. The only chance that you wouldn't want to is if you have too much focus region anyway right now, which I covered if you watch my stat priority video. I covered about how much you really kind of need to be able to not ever run out of focus. So, but that's usually not a huge problem. And if it's not for you, feel free to take them out and put them elsewhere. So, all right, moving on. Support tier 2 tree. I'm going to explain the amps I took and then explain why I didn't take certain amps that other people, because there's a big misconception about some of these that, oh yeah, they're awesome, and they're really not. And some are just, in my opinion, you have to take because they give you pretty good usefulness out of them. So anyway, the first amp that I did not take is called Build Up. What it does is healing an ally with any of our builder spells. This is like Bolster, Soothe, anything that produces a sight point will grant a stack of Build Up. When healing an ally with 3 stacks, you restore an additional 853 health, and the stacks are removed. So the reason I did not take this amp is mainly because the amount of healing it provides is not that big a deal. For 4 psi points, or excuse me, 4 psi points, for 4 amp points, I really would not take this. That's the main thing. Another little side note of this ability is it's still somewhat buggy. I've noticed, like even if you took like say Mind Over Body and constantly spammed it on a character and watched their stacks, they wouldn't go up all the time. They kind of just hang out, you know. It might give you a stack and it might not, so it's sort of buggy at the moment. But even if it wasn't, I honestly don't think it's worth getting. Um, so that covers that amp. Moving on. The other amp I didn't take, waiting on the stupid thing to come up, is Focus Mastery. There it is. While below 50% focus, your support finishers generate 50 focus. This can only occur every 15 seconds. So the reason I didn't take this ability is honestly it's like a class mechanic kind of thing. Um, that I haven't seen below 15% focus in a very, very long time. I can tell you that, with absolute certainty. It used to be a good spell. I don't recall what was changed about it exactly that made it not as good anymore. Um, but I honestly wouldn't take this amp either. Like, of these two that I did not take, I would definitely not take Focus Mastery. Um, I could see where people could make arguments about build-up being worth taking. But honestly, like, I wouldn't take it either. So, uh, sorry guys, the tooltips are moving kind of slow here. There we go. The one I did take is called Inspiration. Landing a basic healed grants healed allies a defense, which is that it reduces the damage they take by 8.5%. This is a guarantee on any of our basic heals. Um, that includes everything in our arsenal, essentially, has the ability to proc this amp. So, pretty nice. Anytime you can reduce the damage a target takes, the less healing you have to do to that target to begin with. So, it's definitely worth taking, in my opinion. Next one is Spectral Shield. When you critically heal an ally, they gain an absorption shield. So there's no cooldown on this type of amp. Um, so anytime you critically hit any targets, it procs this absorption shield on them. So again, it's another amp that would reduce the amount of damage they take. So it's worth taking, in my opinion. Next, hard to hit. Your heals have a 15% chance to grant a defense, which is it increases the deflect chance on the target by 8% and lasts for 10 seconds. So, this amp again is one I would definitely take because it, essentially is a mitigation amp for targets. The chance for it to proc is pretty low, so I could see why people would argue that this is not a good amp to take. But our alternatives are not much better, to be honest. And if this does proc, in the case where it might be certain death for an ally, maybe they deflect that attack and live a little longer. So it's definitely worth taking, in my opinion. That covers all the tier 2s. Talk about the support tier 3s for a second. Of course, I took Mirage just to make it available on my action set in the event I take it and want to use it. But this amp has seen some some changes, if you will, to it, to where drop 3, it used to be whenever you use a support finisher on an ally below 30% health, you heal for a little bit more health, I think it was. And it can only occur every 8 seconds. So, I didn't take this in drop 3. Simply because in the event that a target was below, it just didn't happen a lot. Like, if a target's below 30% health, chances are I'm not paying attention to begin with. But now that they've changed it in drop 4 to be 60% health, it heals for an extra amount. It's pretty nice to have this amp now. Not only that, but the frequency at which it can occur got buffed from 8 seconds to 4 seconds now. So it's a shorter duration for the amp to see usefulness, if you will. So in my opinion, I think this is worth taking now. So I would certainly take it. It's more healing done, and it's significantly better, in my opinion, than Build Up, which is incredibly buggy at the moment. So even after Drop 4 came out, so it's still they buffed the amount that Build Up heals, but it's not really worth taking. And if you want to know my opinion on it, but next one in tier 3 that I did not take uh, was Companion. Companion, when healing, you have a 20% chance to summon a companion, which is like this little. It's like a running joke I had with my buddies that it's the killer carrot. Uh, it's so buggy. It essentially what it does is it restores or produces a heal over time and lasts for 10 seconds. So it does heal for a good amount. However, due to the way it works, the companion doesn't always go to the target that needs healing. So you're like, you dumbass carrot, go over there to the guy that's about to die. Don't sit with me and kind of heal me. You know. So there was two things that I really didn't like about this spell. The chance for it to proc is not bad. The healing it does is not bad. Even the frequency at which it can occur is not bad. The problems I have are the companion doesn't go to the target that needs healing. It's not smart like that. If there was some way they could work it out to where that would occur, then it would make it useful for me to take. But otherwise, I don't take it right now. The other problem I have with this is, for all that it does, it costs 6 amp points to get, which greatly reduces what you can go after in your other trees. So I don't think it's honestly worth taking. If you know, it's an okay amp, but it's not a have to have. And like I said, there's better places for us to put the amp points anyway. So next tree we'll talk about is a hybrid assault tree, or hybrid assault support tree. Excuse me. So I would absolutely go after the tier 1 there of its critical hit. Take those 3. Crit hit severity is our least favorable stat in our stat priority. So it's not really required that you take those to get to the tier 2 anyway. So I would hesitate from getting those right now and go after the other 2 amps in the tier 2. This one right here is a notable one to talk about as well, because it's changed. Not snack worthy. Activating spectral form, which is your innate, grants an empower. The empower increases assault and support power by 10% for 5 seconds. So it's like an added buff to your every time you use your innate, which generates 1 psi point for 5 seconds. It gives you absorb shield and interrupt armor, but then it would add this if you take the amp to it as well. And 10% support power as a healer is pretty nice. And the other thing I would add is that spectral form, the cooldown's only 30 seconds, so you will see a usefulness from this amp. So in my opinion, it's a have to have, whether you're a DPS or a healer, Esper. Next one is Tactician. Standing still for 2.5 seconds grants an Empower and a Bastion. Empower, what it does is increases the magic damage dealt by 4%. Not bad. But this is really the reason you go after it as a healing Esper. Bastion. Increases the outgoing healing you do by 4%. It's not much, but it's better to have it than not have it, in my opinion. So I'd run with it. And you can make usefulness of this amp if you can find situations where you can stand still to receive the buff. The buff does go away when you move, so you have to find situations where you can stand still to make, usefulness of it. Alright, so that covers the support tree and the hybrid assault support tree amps that I went after. We'll cover utility, and we'll end the video after that. But anyway, I think it's very important that you take cooldown reduction in this tree, because one thing about the Esper is that our interrupts are very long. So if you can find ways to reduce the time that you are waiting for interrupts, then why not grab it up? It's also the reason why I run fixation in a majority of my builds, because it also reduces the ability, reduces cooldowns as well. So it's worthwhile taking those three. Next one I went after was mental overflow. This one right here, a lot of people didn't like, because it was the issue they had with it. Well, let me explain it first. When you would gain a side point while at full side points, a side point orb spawns near your location and lasts for 5 seconds. Stacks 3 times. So essentially, this allows you to pool side points up to 8 total once you are at your max, which is 5. So any builder spell that you use after 5, you get this little orb that spawns to the left of you. And what this allows us to do is, like I said earlier, pool our side points to where we can get side points faster and get more reveries out to get more burst healing out quickly. So it's not a bad spell. Amp. To go after, in my opinion. So the one thing I will note, or with you guys, is that I don't recall, and I haven't done enough rating in drop 4 yet to verify this, but I know in drop 3 the problem people had with this spell was that the orbs, when they came out, other people could pick them up or run over them, either by accident or on purpose. If it was another Esper, they'd get side points from it, but everyone else wouldn't get anything from it. So I'm not sure if it's still the case where that is true, but just something to keep in mind. So anyway, the next spell that I get, or next amp that I got in the utility tree, was defensive maneuvers. Basically, what this allows you to do is increase your magic mitigation by 6% every time you dash. So it's one of those things that synergizes good with Tactician, in that you can stand still for a minute and get that buff to your healing and damage, and then if you have to move, just dash real quick out of a telegraph, and bam, you're set up again to get that buff again. So it synergizes good. Plus, anything that you can take, as a light armor class to increase your damage mitigation some helps a little bit. So let's see. And of course, the last one I took was fixation amp in the tier 3 utility, just so I have it available to use with my limited action setups. Okay. So yeah, that covers everything that I wanted to talk about with the amps. Keep in mind there are a couple options you could do. Like, if you guys didn't like the fact that I took one of these support amps, by all means switch it out. Another couple places you could put it would be dash region is not too bad. It basically allows your dash charges to come back quicker than they would if you didn't have these amps. And it also allows you to proc defensive maneuvers amp some more. So another place would be getting max shield capacity. Because when you take a hit, it affects your shield first So if you didn't have any shields, you would be any damage you took would go directly to your health pool, if that makes any sense. So that's not a bad place to put the amps either. Um, and of course, I had 2 points of critical hit severity, but that would also be another good place to put those points. Uh, Last thing, and I know I mentioned it earlier, but I'm going to mention it again. If you have too much focus region, or you feel like you're okay with what you got, drop those points and put them somewhere else. Because you don't need those points right there to get to tier 2. You have more than enough in your support and the focus costs ones here to unlock tier 2 support. So, alright, dudes. I guess, yeah. What I'm gonna do next in my next video is just kind of do a brief video talking about some tricks of the trade I've learned as a result of healing with the Esper, and maybe help some people out if they like it or not. Um, Maybe even have some experienced Espers out there that don't realize, that you could do these things. So, but hope this video helped you out. We will see you again next time where I talk about tricks of the trade. Have a good night. We'll see you next time.